Sorry for that interruption. Let's go back to where we were, which was you were telling me the evidence of that first thought, I'm so dumb.
I mean, obviously I got a D myself, but then also I was the only one to fail. Everybody else in the class did well on it. And I think that's obviously the most recent, sort of fresh experience.
Is there anything else?
Last week I didn't know the answer to a question that I was asked in front of the whole class, so that was kind of humiliating.
So at this moment right now, again from 0 to 100, what percent do you feel dumb right now? How true do you think that thought is?
Probably about 80%.
80%. Okay. So let's examine the evidence now for you not being dumb. What evidence is there that you aren't dumb?
So this is the first test that I failed, which we've had a lot of tests.
Okay.
I mean, I did well in college, well enough at least. Graduated with, above 3.0 kind of a deal. I'm typically able to answer questions when the instructors ask.
Okay. What made this week a little bit different?
Well, for one, I didn't study for the test. I guess that can have a pretty serious impact on the grade. I guess I am a little stressed just in general, trying to manage both the school and the move.
Yeah, you mentioned that you guys are in the middle of a move, so does it seem kind of logical that while you're dealing with that other thing, maybe you weren't able to study as much? I imagine you were doing a lot of things for that move.
Yeah, I mean, my focus has definitely been split.
Okay.
There's no question about it.
Okay. So you have a little bit of evidence that supports your thought, I'm so dumb, but also you have a decent amount of evidence that you aren't. You said normally you get good grades. Normally you're able to answer the instructor's questions, and you've got a lot going on that kept you from being able to study. Is that true?
Yeah, all those things are true.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So right now, how true do you think that statement is? I'm so dumb. Again, 0 to 100.
I mean, all things considered, probably 30%.
30%. Wow, that's a big difference. So you would say you feel better right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's when you look at it objectively, I would say that the facts certainly seem to support not being dumb.
Okay, so intellectually you don't think that you're dumb, but still emotionally you're still kind of feeling that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sting associated with failure, I think.
Okay. Well, and that's something that maybe we can talk about a little bit later. But one thing that I'd like to work on right now is really focusing again on those automatic thoughts. And I've got this thing called the thought record. Do you mind if I show you that?
Okay.
Okay, it's right here, and this really is what we just talked through. And so you name a situation right here, and you name the emotion that you feel with it. And then you try to think to yourself, what are the automatic negative thoughts that you had? And you had no problem thinking of the things that you were thinking there. And then just like you and I just did, you examine the evidence for that thought and the evidence against that thought. And then you come up with an alternative thought. And then at the very end, you say how that makes you feel. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to do a quick run through of this? And then I'll have you bring this home with you this week, and you can add to it and bring it back to me next week.
Yeah, let's do an example.
Okay. Okay, so here's a pencil. What is the situation here?
Failing the test, getting a D.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
Frustrated, sad. Yeah.
Okay.
Stupid.
And what automatic thoughts did you have?
That was the I'm so dumb.
Mhm.
And then that I should have studied more. Those are the two really
Okay.
that.
And then the evidence for, you said that the evidence is that you got a D.
Yep.
And that no one else got that same grade as you. They did a little bit better.
Agreed.
And the evidence against was that. What was the evidence against?
I don't typically. I've done well on past exams and taken a lot of them.
Good.
I did well in college.
And you're typically able to answer the instructor's questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. So that's the part we already did. Now let's come up with an alternative thought. So one I might suggest to you this time, and we can talk through it, and then maybe next time you can come up with some on your own. An alternative thought here, when you think I'm so dumb, you could think, for instance, I have a lot going on. I have a lot going on. Or you could say, I normally pass tests. I normally have more time to study. Something like that. So which one of those would you like to be your alternative thought?
For right now, something like I've got a lot going on. I've got a lot on my plate.
Okay. Okay, and then when you tell yourself that, I've got a lot on my plate, how does that make you feel? What emotion are you feeling?
I mean, I understand. I guess I would say it brings an understanding. I mean, it certainly maintains kind of a stress, but I don't know that there's much you can do about that.
Okay, so it hasn't taken away the emotion, but you mentioned earlier that you went from a percentage in the 80s all the way down to 30. So in those emotion sections, you can also put down the percent that you're feeling.
Okay.
That. Does that make sense?
That does.
Do you think this is something that you could bring home this week and work on?
Yeah. And is it something that I use just for any situation, or?
It doesn't have. It can be any situation, but a clue that you might want to use the thought record is if you feel yourself feeling frustrated or upset or anything like that. It might clue you in that there's an automatic thought or something that you want to kind of evaluate. Okay. And remember that you do have a lot on your plate right now, and so I don't expect this to be perfect. Doing thought records like this takes some practice. So just bring in whatever you have next week, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Does that sound good? All right. So how is this session for you today? How did you feel about this session?
I mean, I feel like I've learned. Like I've been given a process that I can, address some emotions even on my own, which is, helpful.
Awesome. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for coming today.